Okay, so welcome to our one CHS Masterclass in cooking. My day job is teaching, but on the weekends or as often as I can, I like to cook. I am never this organised. This is all for show, it's all for the camera, and it's in the hope of nothing going wrong and everybody being able to go through each stage alongside me and get everything ready. So, first thing we're going to do is wash our green beans. So get them straight into the colander, give them a rinse. This is just to get the supermarket off them and to make sure they're ready for my children. Once they're washed, we just give them a quick topping and tailing. You may hear my wife correcting me as we go along here. We are very close to dinner time for the boys and this is now going to be done in a bit of a rush. However, just line up the green beans, just bounce them. And just give them a little click along the top. Make sure you've got your best knife, keeps everything. And just give them a little spin around the other way. Just going to get the green beans and the pasta on first, as that stuff will take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. Whereas prawns will take sort of 5 by the time we get the heat going. So, anything to add?
No.
What's happening so far?
Yeah, that's all good so far.
Excellent. Idea with the green beans is you steam them to keep as much goodness in them as you possibly can. And since this is for a family of 4, it's quite important to cook these a little longer than I might personally enjoy. But it does mean that my 2-year-old children can actually get in about them and enjoy them. So just get them going. I've already cheated because my kettle was boiling, but if you've not already done it, get your hot water going. And these are ready to go. And we talked about pasta. The plan is Linguine, which I found out recently means little tongues in Italian. And it's basically flat spaghetti. So if you can't get hold of Linguine, spaghetti is definitely a similar option. We've got about a handful, it's about a portion and a half. We'll probably do a second handful just to make sure the children have some dinner. So, at this point, probably worth explaining that the day job is normally teaching, and this is a meal that I can't really take full credit for. It's something that my wife and my mother have both been making quite regularly, and they love it because it's just so quick. So we'll just get some water on the boil. It's a rented property, so we currently have giant pots or tiny pots. We're going to go with a giant pot to give our pasta a bit of space to cook. So cooking with children in the house, I always go to the back. My kids' little fingers can definitely toy with the temperature, but as long as they can't rip the boiling hot water down onto themselves, I think we're winning. Just let that come to a boil. Don't need to add any salt because we're going to be using a stock cube, and we're going to have so much sort of seafood going, we don't really want to add too much salt to it. We've got a pretty hefty handful here. I'm just going to go for a tiny bit more. This is the cheapest part of the meal, so it's the part I always go a little bit over the top and then make sure we've got enough. Just once it comes to the boil, I'm just going to spin it and make sure it sort of all settles in where it can. So 1, 2, 3, there we go. Just bring our green beans across. Yeah, good look at them. Historically, we have had a steamer in the house. That got left in Russia, it's not made it here yet, so we're going to go with the colander. And once that pasta's sort of settled down into the pot, we'll be able to get those green beans in as well. The tongs are coming this way. Thank you very much for the assistance. Just give them a little spin, make sure they get nice and flat. Like I said, we're not going to put any salt in right now, but we will give just a little bit of oil just to make sure it doesn't stick. a little glug. Give it a quick stir. And like I said, we're talking probably 9-10 minutes for the pasta and roughly the same for the green beans. Moving on, we are about to begin our prawns. So first thing, just want to get your pot on the heat. Going to go with a little bit of oil. Just a low heat just now. We're going to be adding oil and butter to that. It just gives it a bit more creaminess, which, well, it may not be good for me, but I absolutely adore butter. And a little bit of olive oil. So getting close, quite a lot, but it just adds that butteriness, which is I'm a big fan of. So over here, we're just going to go in with, let's say, three cloves of garlic. Could give them a crack. 1, 2, 3. That's a personal preference. You can understand if you want to go a bit less. I'm getting some serious faces from my wife here, but I'm in charge. So just give them a little crush. 1, 2, and 3. Once these have been crushed, it just releases a wee bit of the smell and it helps it cook a bit faster once we get going. This is quite fresh garlic, so it's a bit tricky to peel, but we're getting there. There may be a couple of children appear shortly. It's unlike them to be quiet for this long. I think my wife is desperate to go check on them right now, so we're just going to pause there and make sure everyone's safe and well. Children are safe, we will continue. So again, you could just crush your garlic. I got new knives recently. My favourite knives got lost in Russia, like a lot of the kitchen stuff I like. So I like the cut, it's something I enjoy, but if you want to just do it a bit more speedily, feel free to get your crusher out. Don't know if you're getting a good view of this. Going quite broad. Doesn't need to be too fine because it's going to add a little bit of texture against those prawns. So there we go. It's a lot of garlic, but we've got COVID to worry about, we've got immune systems, we've got flus on the go. I think the more we can do to help the better. So I'm just going to throw that in. That's on at a very low heat at the moment. Looking for that just to infuse a little. Coming back, we'll go to our chilli. Now, I think if my wife and I were eating this ourselves, we might have a little bit more, but we're just going to take that down to about half, and we're going to take the seeds out, just because although the boys enjoy it, we have had incidents where they could not drink enough water to get the spiciness out of their mouth. So I'm just going to get rid of those seeds off the top, and again we'll cut this quite fine. Going a bit finer with the chilli than we did with the garlic, mainly to avoid anything being too burny for the little ones. And we're just going to go back in here and run that over. So it's a fairly fine chop, and we'll do the same on this side. Just make sure there's absolutely no seeds in there. Again, when we're cooking, the whole sort of focus is trying to get as much colour into the plate as we can. There's obviously plenty of research to support that, and in particular with little ones, following 6 months of absolutely no germs at all in any environment, they're just beginning to mix with people again, and it's important we get as much goodness into every meal as we possibly can. So we've gone in now with the chilli and the garlic. I'm just going to turn that heat up a little because we will shortly be throwing our prawns in. So Just turning the heat up. Got a bit of gas mark 4 or 5 out of 6, depending how you're cooking and what you're cooking on. And tomatoes. Tomatoes, a very famous superfood. One of the few things that are actually more nutritious when they've been cooked down into the sauce. So again, you would need to half these depending on the age of your children. Just got to be a bit careful with choking hazards and our little ones. That along. Just beginning to hear quite a nice sizzle off the garlic and the chilli. And again, I'll just cut these down. And these will just cook in that prawn juice and just give it, we'll cook all their sort of good nutritional bits into that sauce, which will just add one more layer of food and one more layer of goodness to what we're doing tonight. Anything to add at this point?
No, nothing to add, no.
No. It wasn't quite as smooth coming into this. Preparing the kitchen, getting things tidy enough for videoing. It's been a fun day, but we're just going to throw these tomatoes in first because the prawns will take a little less time to soften. I've got that nice and hot, just give it a little stir. Again, working off those batch hogs, save the new ones.
Smells delicious.
Good stuff. And finally we've got some giant king prawns here, and I've got some little ones. These are Atlantic prawns, these are coming out from Scandinavia. And these big ones, nice big and juicy, they collect a lot of that flavour in the butter. But these little ones are my favourite. They just go a little bit more crispy and get a little bit of a texture going. So I'm just going to throw them all in. There's quite a lot tonight. And just going to give them a bit of a flip. And leave that to cook down for a second. We will be throwing a little bit of lemon in, and we're just going to go back and check how the pasta is looking and how our green beans are coming along. So I think at this point it's another good moment for us to double check our children are safe, and we'll be back in a sec. So, children are safe again, good news. We're just going to get into the prawns. You can see these little prawns have shriveled up really quick, and they've released a little bit of sort of stock and dew into our sauce here. Those bigger ones are just turning from sort of translucent to a bit more white and pink. And we're probably going to add just a little bit more butter, because you can never have enough butter. And then we'll just check on our pasta and green beans. So, going in with a little bit more butter. And we'll just give that a stir so it can cook through evenly. And we'll be adding a stock cube shortly, which will just cook down and it will just create a bit more of a sauce within what's going on there. So, grab that just now. We'll just be checking our green beans. They'll probably still be a little al dente at the moment, but the pasta shouldn't be too far away at all. So I'm just going in with a stock cube, and we're just going to grab a little bit of pasta water, hopefully without burning my hand on the colander. So I'll just grab that out, pop it there. Just going to pull our pasta. So again, sort of a nod towards the carbonara, just grabbing a bit of that pasta water, just to loosen up the sauce a bit, and just give prawns a bit more water to cook in over there. That should speed this side up. Just check on our pasta. Again, you can use whatever you want for this, but almost perfect. I would say that's been about 9-10 minutes for the pasta cooking. That would be perfect for me and my wife, but I think we'll just give it another couple of minutes for the children. Decent though. And just going to check the green beans. You can see they're steaming. The whole idea with steaming green beans is you don't damage them as much as when you boil them. So they retain a bit more bite and an awful lot more nutrition to them. So they're almost perfect as well. Just pop them across. probably 1 or 2 more minutes. Just give this a chance to cook down. You can just see it's becoming a bit more of a sauce there. Everything's looking pretty nice. And we'll probably just give you a minute or 2 to let that stuff cook down. But everything's looking pretty much spot on to where it should be right now. So we've had about 2 more minutes cooking time. We've just come in with the prawns. You can see it's a really high heat, but that sauce is cooked down a bit. Those tomatoes have just broken down into it, and the garlic's looking quite nice. Over here, green beans have been on about 11 minutes in total. As I said, steaming them to avoid cooking the nutrition out of them. So I'm just going to put these to one side, stick them into the sink if you come this way. And we are just going to drain the pasta over the top of those green beans. Everything's going to be mixed in together. So we'll go for it. Pasta's looking good. Just loosen it off, turn off our heat, and come this way. So again, just going to pour it out. It's looking pretty much spot on. But if you want to come in a bit closer, you can see. Just give that a little bit of a turn. What I would normally do is cool this down with some cold water for my children, but we're going to keep it as real life as possible. And just dive across. Stick that there. We're just going to get the big pot. I think in terms of putting everything into this little pan, it's going to prove a little tricky. So we might have to go with the big pot. What do you think?
I think go for it. I think stick it in there.
And get everything in.
Just maybe doing it a bit at a time.
So, let's see. Going in with the... keep wanting to say fettuccine. Apologies. We've got linguine. Little tongues in Italian. I want to make sure we're getting plenty of our green beans in. Give that a mix in a second. Just come back a little. There we go. Just going to turn the heat off now. Everything's cooked. Just a case of sort of warming things and giving them a bit of a turn. So again, we're looking at trying to create a bit of a rainbow. We've got the red from the tomatoes. We've got the green, which is quite a vibrant deep green coming from the green beans. And we've got that lovely protein from the prawns, a bit of a kick from the chilli and garlic, and then the linguine just going in on top. So again, I'm going to prioritise my green beans over the linguine, but you can see it's stuck together a bit there. That's just not having enough water in the pot. If you give it a bit more space, it will not stick when it hits the boil. And I think we're looking almost ready to invite some children for a munch. And I think that'll do us for now. Got a little bit extra there, we'll save that. And let's just try and give it a bit of a turn. You can see that sauce. We've cooked it in that fish stock. We've gone in with the prawns again. And it's just a case of trying to get all that linguine coated in that sauce. And trying to make sure the prawns are evenly spread. And there's not going to be one particularly greedy person sat with all those prawns, which happens way too often at my table. So, just going to stop that there. I'm just going to flick the last 2 skins off my tongs. Just want to go in with a bit of black pepper. So a bit of black pepper, and just to finish, a little bit of lemon juice. You just want a little bit of acid to cut through all the salt and all that sort of seafood. Nothing better other than maybe a bit of white wine. So, just want to, if you just pop something in, normally use a fork or a knife, and it will just control where that juice is actually going to explode to. So you just give it a little turn, and we are ready with our Speedy garlic chili and prawn linguine, and we're ready to feed some children, so we'll just start plating up and we'll get the boys in to see how they like it. So we're just going to do a quick taste test. I think my wife's a bit worried there's too much garlic going on in here and a bit too much chilli, but let's just see. How are we thinking?
That is delicious. The lemon is delicious through it. Really good.
Almost as good as white wine.
You need a bit of white wine with it.
So we'll just start plating up. Like I said, never in the history of my cooking have I actually plated ingredients before I started. Quite pleased I did, because it did keep this a little smoother than I potentially expected. I would normally try and deconstruct it for my children so that if they really dislike a certain bit, they still eat the rest. But today we're sort of all in, so we'll just get them some pasta. And it's going in the big English Paddington bus section. We'll grab them some prawns. If you don't want to use prawns, you can easily use tofu, tempeh, corn. We've done it with corn many times and my kids love it. Obviously at the moment a lot of people are trying to reduce the amount of meat they're eating, and that's quite a nice option. As you can see, I'm still going for a bit of deconstruction. It's all got the same flavour though. And there's one little baby portion ready. We'll just grab a little bit of that tomato skin. Just make sure they get the full range of colours. There we go, so that's one done. Same again. Just grabbing some pasta. Again, this isn't actually whole wheat because I couldn't find any this week, but if you can find whole wheat, it's definitely the way forward. I decided to stick with the linguine just because it was on the recipe. I do have a cupboard full of whole wheat spaghetti, which is much easier to get your hands on. Generally, you'd find spaghetti being used with tomato or meat sauces, whereas linguine would go with fish or cream sauces just because of the shape. It's a bit flat and it just absorbs a bit more of that flavour. Here we go, George and Arthur are going to be chomping down on this. There'll be 2 by the time this video goes out, but they have started to enjoy their prawns, especially off their mother or father's plate. So we're just about ready. Got to make sure the prawns are equal for both children, and then with the parents' portions it's a lot easier. So again, I'll just turn that around, making sure it's picking up as much juice as it can, and we're going in big. It's been a tough week. Mr Weightman feels like he's needing a treat. And if you can, just give it a bit of a spin, just gives it all a bit more of a shape. We'll go back to that with our prawns, which are all slipping through. But again, got green beans, quite a light olive oil and butter sauce, bit of garlic through it. And we can just twist in all those prawns. It's all about the presentation at the end, making sure nobody's feeling left out. So looking quite healthy on the green beans. And like I said, these little prawns are definitely holding a lot of flavour. They just soak up all that butter, olive oil, garlic and chilli. So we'll get in with the tongs. And there's probably enough for a little treat portion going into school. So, a little bit left over, 2 monster portions, 2 little portions. I hope you enjoyed the masterclass. I'm sorry it's not actually my profession, but it is something I care deeply about and I enjoy doing. We'll just try and get you a little evidence of my children hopefully eating it. They have done before, so, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, please fire them on. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And enjoy your dinner. We've got a Speedy, garlic, chilli, green bean, and prawn linguine. Enjoy. Cheers. So it seems successful. We've got one boy absolutely scoffing his linguine here, just slurping it up. And we've had to bring all the extra pasta over because this guy just cleaned out all of his prawns in one go. You want some more, Arthur? More prawns? Is there enough space in that mouth?
George, you're eating very well. Good slurping. Great slurping.
More prawns?
Mm.
Did you drop that bit? That's the king prawn, that's a big one.
Big.
Can you say big prawn? Not if you're eating. So it seems a success. I hope everybody else is getting a chance to enjoy it. Our boys are liking it. We're about to hopefully enjoy it. And like I said, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for any donations. They're going to such a good cause. It's such a nice thing to be part of one CHS and Cheadle. So thank you for tuning in. And if you excuse us, we'll get some dinner to eat. Bye. Should we have a bit of pasta? Is it good? Yum yum. Is it good? Tasty prawn. Wow, that was fast. Bye.
Bye.
Good boy. Cheers.